Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round four of the We Have Fun F1 25 Racing League. It is Tier 1 tonight on this glorious Sunday evening where we've watched a real life F1 race. A bit duller than a lot would have hoped, but we are certainly not going to get duality in this race because we have got a brilliant race in store for you today. The first three rounds have been dominated by Cookie Boss in the Red Bull. 2023 like domination so far, but we are only three rounds in and there's always the chance that the rest of the grid can spring a surprise on the Red Bull team today, who lead the constructors by quite a considerable margin. Obviously, still very early stages, so there's still a good chance of the rest catching up. The Kick Salvers will be looking to get in there as start. P2 in the standings, quite clear of third as well. So it was all game on after a thrilling Miami race. We are now heading into the Hungary where we've all been familiarised with the circuit from today's race. And now into league racing we go. 18 minutes of qualifying to determine the grid. And a very well liked track, Hungary. Many refer to it as sort of a go-kart track, really. Monaco without the walls, it's been classed as. 4.381 kilometers is the length. The drivers will make their way clockwise, 8 turns to the right and 6 to the left. It's a very tricky track to nail here. Qualifying is key at a track like this, where overtaking is difficult but not impossible. We've seen a lot of moves at turn one, both in league racing and real life, as we see a flurry of cars coming out looking to get early laps in. I think the first car out on track is Young Himi, who's making his way to turn one now. And we'll see how he makes his way through these 14 turns, because he's got 35 laps in for him come the race. And if the weather's anything to go by, it looks sunny skies for qualifying here. Whether that'll be the same case for the race is a question we will find out soon. But you can see already coming out of pit lane, a lot of cars looking to get early laps on the doors. Track limits also very difficult around here. Expect a lot of warnings in the race, which could unfortunately lead to a 3-second penalty. So keep an eye on that. And Young actually getting caught up a little by the McLaren, who seems eager to start his lap. And he is indeed. Craig Connolly decides he wants to be the first to set a lap around the Hungary ring. And running that very pretty chrome livery, I must say. We will take you through a lap of this Hungary. You want to take a wide line at the final corner to prioritise your entry to turn one, and your top speed down the back straight is coming out the final corner. ERS and DRS deployed. Craig will set the benchmark time. Heading down towards turn one, waiting for the 100-meter board and slamming on the brakes now. Shifting down to third gear, kiss the apex on the inside, get back on traction. A lot more ERS down, burn towards turn two, waiting for a 50-meter board. Heavy braking again, rotate around in third, then up to fourth he goes. Down the flat out turn three, and then rising back up the hill towards the turn four. We'll see how he takes it here. Little lift, but does keep it inside track limits crucially. Very difficult to keep it inside the white lines there. Makes his way through turn five nicely, then into the heavy chicane, slowest corner of the track. And he makes it through nicely, making sure not to clobber the curb too much. Then rotates into turn 8, then back to turn 9. Made his way round, just about keeping it in the white lines. And through turn 10, can he go flat out? Little lifts, and just about keeps it in the track limits. Heading down towards turn 12 now, shifts down towards third gear and rotates it through nicely, getting on the power. A little more ERS burn, then into the hairpin of turn 13. Rotates the car nicely, get on traction, and then all of a sudden another hairpin, which turns into the final corner, getting on the traction as early as you dare. And Craig, with the benchmark time, will set a 1:16.5, which takes him to the top. We'll see what the rest have got in comparison to that. Young Kimi was on a lap, but he invalidated. Jack, though, has got a response. He goes to P1 with a 15.5. Just 200ths behind him is XV Star with also a 15.5. As WHF Aro, head of the league, 15.8, just 3 tenths behind them. Kevin with a 16.4 goes just ahead of Craig in P6. F1 Mallard also on a lap in the Mercedes coming through. Jack's teammate Kenzie goes to P4 with a 16.0. We await the Ferraris to pit. Actually, Young's going again after he invalidated his first run. Mallard's coming around the final corner now. We'll see where he can put his Mercedes, and he will only go P7, slowest of the runners so far. A flurry of other cars on laps, including Gordon, who jumps to the top with a 15.4. We'll see where our championship leader is, who's just on his outlap, a bit out of sync from the rest of the grid. The two Mercedes last as it stands, or second from last as now that is, because Oven jumps to P10. Echo also jumping up to P4. Good lap from the McLaren, and it's very close, just 3 tenths between the top four. Young went for another lap in his Ferrari, but he invalidated once again, so clearly struggling with track limits, as many drivers do here at Hungary. F1 Lime in the Williams, making his way around the hairpin. And will he get blocked by that Red Bull a little bit? A bit of impeding going on there by our championship leader, and heading down the straight line. I don't think we'll be too happy with that. He only goes P9, but we'll keep with Cookie here, who has been unstoppable so far this season. But his reign must come to an end, and whether it'll end at this track is the question we all want to answer. But someone's going to need to beat him, and a good qualifying here is going to make life very difficult for Cookie. If they can out-qualify him, then there's a good chance they can beat him in the race. But that looked very committed into turn 4, and once again, rear sliding about around the turns. Maybe Cookie likes that driving style, prefers the oversteer to the understeer, clobbering over the curves. The Red Bull looking very hooked up there. I don't know what setup he's got on, but he's able to take the curves incredibly well. And you can see why Cookie is the one to beat a 53.4 for the middle sector. We'll see what that compares to the rest. And Cookie around the final 2 corners to set his first lap of the day. Very out of sync from the rest. He's had a clear track, and Cookie up to the line will go to P1 with a 15.2. And maybe a bit of track evolution going on there. Cookie going out later. I've seen him jump to the top. He's 2 tenths clear of Gordon in the Haas. And now we just await the next set of laps. Nis is out of sync from the rest as well. He's currently on a lap in the RB. I think Ollie went back out again. Oh no, he's going to pit this lap. He's got a very slow time. I think that's a bit unrepresentative. He may have made some sort of mistake on his lap. Nice though, 53.5. That's a pretty good middle sector split. So we'll see where he can put his RB. Maybe make it a Red Bull Powertrain 1-2. And up to the line, Nice will set a 15.0. So it was a mighty last sector from Nice, and now it is now RB on pole. So Cookie's got a time to beat, and Nice 2 tenths clear of Cookie and 4 tenths clear of Gordon. So Nice with his first lap of the day, setting the pace out there. Only other driver currently on a lap is Andre. Interestingly, not burning much battery. He's decided to stay in hot lap, so interesting strategy from the Williams, although it is regarded that medium and overtake is the fastest technique in qualifying now in this year's game. And a lot more cars coming out for their second laps now. Kevin, Craig, Lime, Mallard, all looking to improve their times. And they're 1.4 seconds off pole, so they really need to find some time if they want to be up there challenging out front. Big slide there from Andre, and he went off track, but somehow didn't invalidate. He's a bit ways off the pace anyway, so I don't think this lap will see him too high. And around the final corner goes the Williams. Him and only 2 other drivers have not set a lap yet, and he only goes P14. So he's got some time to find if he doesn't want to be at the back. Young, who's tried to set 2 laps so far, is trying one this time, and he's kept it clean so far. And he keeps it in the white lines in the middle sector. 53.8, that's not a bad middle sector split. That could see him propel himself up near the front if he keeps it clean in this last sector. Here comes Young, his teammate's P6 in the form of Aro. Can Young be anywhere near him? Yes, he can. Jumps up right behind him to P7. So two Ferraris occupy 6th and 7th at a minute. Godzilla is the only one yet to set a lap time. And he's filing through the final sector. So his teammate's second in the championship. He's going to want to help Kickstarter in their bid for constructors, and Godzilla only jumps to P15, so he's got some time to find. But he might actually be going for back-to-back claps, you know. He's still deploying batteries, so maybe Godzilla going again. We'll keep an eye on that. But a lot more drivers coming through. F1 Mallard is slightly down through the middle sector. We'll see if he's found time in the last sector, which he hasn't. He stays P13. Lime is up by 2 tenths, so he's looking to improve. He'll be the next car to cross the line. Only 8 minutes left, and nearly every driver is out on track. So Lime around the final corner, up to the line. He will put his Williams to P10, improves by 5 tenths. Found a lot of time in that last sector. Echo's coming through the final sector as well. Cookie is just starting a lap, so we'll keep an eye out for him. And interestingly, Aro has come back into pits just after coming out, so maybe he invalidated his lap. Echo does not improve lost time in that last sector. So what Gordon's doing, Gordon is 1.5 tenths up in the middle sector. So if he finds some time in the last sector, he could be on for a front row. Possibly even to pole if he has a mega last sector. Gordon up to the line will put his Haas to P2, just 300ths ahead of Cookie Boss. But Cookie Boss, though, 2 tenths up in the first sector alone. So he's on a flyer. That looked slow into the chicane, though, and he has backed off. So he went wide in the chicane and deciding to back off from that. Nice, your provisional pole sitter, decided to stay in the pits. So maybe he's only doing 2 laps in the end, because I'm not sure if he'll have time for 3 laps going out this late. But Cookie Boss invalidating there. Will he stay out or will he box now? And he's staying out, so he's going again on this set of tyres. We'll see how that works out for him. So Cookie Boss, old set of tyres. Don't expect too much of an improvement because they will be worn. Riding through turn 2, getting on the curb there, that's an interesting strategy. Haven't seen that done in Hungary for a while. Makes his way through turn 3. He was 2 tenths up in the first sector on the lap before, and he's still 2 tenths up, and we weren't keeping an eye on Star, who goes to provisional pole with a 15-0. Nice is beat, and Star is now the one to beat, second in the championship, and now the championship leader will try and steal pole back from him. Making his way through the middle sector. He was 2 tenths up in the first sector, just about keeping it in track limits. Very close there. Through turn 10. Cookie Boss incredibly sliding. He's lost time in that middle sector. And he's only half a tenth up now, and you could see why. The rear was all over the place. But Cookie made his way through the final sector now. Can he challenge Star up at the front? And can he get ahead of Gordon? Up to the line goes Cookie Boss, and that is a mighty final sector. Cookie Boss really seems to excel in that last sector because he's found 2 tenths, and that has jumped him ahead of Star and up into P1. And he should have enough time to get round again and do another lap. So Cookie Boss, once again, setting the pace in WHF. And Tier 1 have got some time to beat here. So a few drivers, this may classify as their final lap. So Kevin Cal made his way around the last corner. His teammates P1, Red Bull top of the constructors, he'll want to help him out there. And he only jumps up to P11. He may have time to do another lap if he charges his ERS back up. Andre's out of battery. He may have just completed his lap, but he's still only P15. Godzilla is retired, interestingly, so he will only be P16 at max. And off into the grass goes Kevin Cal, clearly having a bit of an expedition on his in-lap. But Godzilla retiring, maybe he wants a fresh set of softs for the main race. We'll find out. 3 minutes to go, and expect a whole heap of cars to come out of the pit lane. They don't want to leave it too late, so that they don't make to the line in time. And ahead of these runners is F1 Lime. Oven Chip, though, will start a lap now. He's quite out of sync. He's got pretty much a clear track in front of him, so this will be his last lap of the day. Andre is retired as well. He's realised he won't have time to make it around. So through the first sector, Oven Chip slightly off on his best time. Just about keeps it in track limits. That looks deep into turn 5 though, and it is. And he goes wide and decides to back off, so he'll try and recharge and then go again after. F1 Lime will be the first of these runners to set a lap, coming out very late. So down the straight goes Lime. This will be his last lap of the day. He's got to find 3 tenths if he wants to improve his position. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him. And we hope that they get out of the way cleanly. The RB does nicely. Around turn 2 goes Lime. Rising mill, he's slightly off in his best time, but he gets on the curb and that drifts him wide. And he'll have to back out as well. Oven Chip managed to save up his battery enough to go again. His tyres will be a bit worn though after that excursion at turn 5. And he did go quicker though. And he's kept it in the track limits. And he's gone wide again at turn 5. Does make it through this time though. As every single driver apart from Kevin Cal is out on track. Through this windy middle sector, just about keeps it in track limits. And again, wide. It's not been the cleanest lap from Chip. He's still slightly up. Whether it'll be enough to improve any positions, that look wide. Look, again, just keeping it in track limits. He'll be the first of the runners to complete their lap. F1 Lime's made it to the line in time. There's a few still straggling round who are going to be cutting this quite fine if they want to make it to the line. And Oven Chip does not improve, so that is his qualifying over. But we've got a flurry of cars on a lap now. As Young Himi, he goes to P5. We'll see what Star's doing though through the first sector, and he's down 2.5 tenths. So Star's not had a good first sector. He's got to find a heap of time in this middle sector, and that's not going to help him do it. Sliding through turn 5, so Star struggling, it seems. Nice though ahead of him. We'll see what he does through the middle sector. Echo jumps up to P7. Cookie Boss is the last of these 3 runners. And Nice is a 10.5 up, so if he keeps on track, Nice could see himself 2 provisional pole. He's just got to nail this last sector. Craig jumps to P10, so McLaren's 7.10 at the minute. There's yellow flags where Cookie Boss is, but he's still going. And up to the line, can Nice steal back pole? No, he can't. He misses out by 13 milliseconds. Has Star found enough time? No, he hasn't. He's 5 tenths down. So it looks like Cookie's on pole. He might not even have to improve unless someone further back is improving. Jack has spun at turn 10. Aro is making his way around the last corner. Gordon has stayed P4. Up to the line goes Aro. He will stay in P8. And we'll see what Cookie's doing. He might just want to extend the gap before show. And up to the line, he goes faster by 2 tenths. And Cookie just gloating at this rate. He is 2 tenths clear of Nice. And Nice gave it his best shot. But Cookie, again, proving to be unstoppable in this Tier 1 league. And of the 18 runners, it is Andre and Codzilla at the bottom who retired early. But as usual, it is business as usual for Cookie, who will lead us away from pole for the Grand Prix. And the rest are going to be scratching their heads as to how they beat this guy, because he just keeps showing up over and over again and taking another pole position and adding another point to his tally. And Nissan Star are going to have to be rapid off the line, otherwise we could see, as we have seen so many times this season, that Red Bull disappear off to the distance. So Cookie on pole once again, followed closely by Nissan Star and Gordon. No. Hang on, I'm trying to fix that. Uh, so we await the starts, where I'm pretty sure it's predominantly a two-stop here at Hungary. Some obviously may try and get away with a one-stop, similar to the real-life scenario, really. Don't be surprised if you do see a few starting hards, although the mediums, as is so common on this game, do die very quickly. So this is all going to be a game about tyre management. And what's crucial for those behind is that they clear Cookie as off the line, because otherwise, Cookie, knowing him, may just be able to breeze away into the distance. We should get going at 32, so that gives us 2 more minutes for the drivers to sort their setup strategy, fuel, and figure out a way to stop Cookie today. And Zampi predicted a Gordon podium. That's not a bad shout. Starting P4, he'll be eager in the Haas to challenge for 3 in front. Well, a lot of different teams in the top 10. Really, only Ferrari. I've got two drivers in the top 8. Aston there as well. It's all going to be about that run down to turn one. A very long run down towards the first corner. So getting off a line here is crucial. But again, sunny skies, so good chance that there is no rain at all, and it is a fully dry race. And I think the drivers will be happy with that, as they wouldn't have practiced much in the wet. We should get going any minute now. The clock has hit 32, so we should get going very soon. We have one last look at race director, and it is predominantly mediums, a few hard runners, but we are getting ready for round 4 of WHF Tier 1. And we are lights out in Hungary. Cookie Boss eager to stay ahead of Nice, but he's unable to. And there's a glitch with the timing tower. We're already on lap 2 for some reason. But run down to turn 1. Nice is in the lead. Cookie's trying to hang it back round the outside. Into turn 1 they go. Cookie shoved wide by Nice, and he's squirming on the exit. And now he's under pressure from Star behind him. Into turn 2 they go. And it's Nice in the lead. The kicks Albert round the outside the Red Bull. A disaster start for Cookie. But into the grass there goes Star, and he's spun round into the barriers, goes to kick Sauber. Disaster stop for the man who's second in the championship, and he was trying to get ahead of Cookie Boss, but now he's tumbled to the back. Disaster for Star, who now sees kick Sauber 18th and 16th. Horror show there. And what moment of drama, the top 2 in the championship with an incident which sends one of them spiralling to the back. Kenzie's up to P8, F1 Lime battling with Craig for P9 and P10, and Dino following them behind. If we look at position change, he's made a whopping 5 positions. Young has had a great start as well, up 3 positions from P7 on the grid, but Nice already starting to pull away from Cookie. If we have a look at the tyres, you can't really explain Cookie's bad start there. We're all on the medium tyres, so Cookie is going to be agitated that he lost the lead to Nice. You're going to be thankful that Star didn't get ahead and that he's at the back of the field. But Nice with the fastest lap of the race. DRS enabled. Keep an eye on Echo in P7. He is the only man in the top 9 with hards on. His teammate Craig has also gone hard. So McLaren both with a hard tyre gamble there, as there is Dino, and there's a spinner on the exit of turn 1 as Oven Chips also spiralling to the back. Dino on the inside of Craig gets up into P10. He's up 6 positions in this race so far. Brilliant start from the Alpine, and now we'll try and hunt down F1 Line in front, but Ferrari in a very good position at the moment. P4 and P6 with Young putting pressure on Jack and the Aston Martin in front as they clobber the curves through the middle sector. Young trying to follow through the dirty air to stay with Jack and look for that podium position. Jack trying to hang on to the DRS of Cookie in front, and he's got 9/10. It's crucial that he stays in here so that he's not going to be vulnerable to Young behind. Gordon follows through in P5. He's lost a position and will try and get back up to the podium like Zampa predicted. But there, going wide is Jack, and Young says thank you very much, I'll take P3, and Young now up 4 positions in this Grand Prix. So Jack, a very strange mistake there, and that might leave him vulnerable to Gordon if we get the DRS deployed and look all the way to the right side of the track. Jack's trying to come back at Young, but unable to get by. And Gordon with a full tank of battery behind, looking to put pressure on the Aston Martin in front. Aro's just waiting in the wings as well. And then Echo leading his own little train on those hard tyres. Dino's pulled away from Craig a little, and he's trying to catch back up. Star, though, already on the back of the pack, and we know how much pace he's got, so he's really going to have to make a major recovery if he wants to salvage some good points today. Points all the way down to 16, so he's still going to score some points today. It's just about how many, because he's really going to lose that in the tower race. And they're going wide as Andre and Star. That is one position up for him. So he's just got 15 more to go if he wants to make an almighty recovery. But we'll keep an eye on his progress. Nice, though, controlling things at the front. 9/10 clear of Cookie. Cookie unable to get within striking distance of the RB. Young, though, still leading his own little train. Jack looking to come back at the Ferrari after that little mistake and making our way through the final sector. Young really dropping back from Cookie in front, but top two seeming a world of their own today. And coming out the final corner, Nice still 9/10 clear, and Jack again seemed to struggle in that last sector. Gordon is putting him under all signs of pressure. And into turn one, Jack again struggling for ERS. Gordon with a full tank behind will look to get past Aro, still just sat behind, and Echo struggling on those hard tyres, unable to catch up to the guys in front. Kenzie's putting pressure on him behind. He's just unable to get by. Lime waiting with them, and Iron is dragging along Craig to these three as well. Meanwhile, Star has got past his teammate, so that's another position up for him, and he'll try and set his sights on the two Mercedes in front. Everyone on the medium tyres, apart from 5 runners, both McLarens, both Mercedes, and 1 Williams. But interestingly, Oven Chips gets the first track limits penalty of the day, so I don't think that'll be the last, because track limits very bad around Hungary. Very easy to get warnings, so expect a lot more penalties for track limits in this race. Nice, though, still keeping a safe distance between Cookie, but Cookie, I think he's just happy to stick with the RB at the moment. As Jack, again, trying to get back up to Young in front. Running on board with the Aston Martin. Trying to gain, although Cookie, he seems a lot closer to the RB in P1, heading down the straight. ERS, into turn one we go, has a little look to the inside, and that causes a squirm from Nice in front, and on the exit, Nice just about has it covered off. But warning signs there thrown by Cookie, who is looking fast behind Nice in front. Jack still unable to get back by Young for the podium positions. But Cookie really starting to ramp up the pressure on Nice in front. And just one error will see the championship leader reclaim that top spot. He's got 3 wins in a row this season. He's won every race so far. But Nice is adamant to make that stop as they slide their way through the chicane. Young is trying to catch back up, but these two seem in a league of their own at the moment. Meanwhile, I said Echo was struggling on those hards, but he's actually coming back up to this train in front and could get DRS this time around. His hards may be starting to come back into this. And the McLaren, the mediums, will not last long. They do die very quickly. But we'll see if Jack's got an answer to the Ferrari in front. I think Oven Chips has had a spin in the middle sector. He has tumbled all the way to the back, so a penalty, and now a spin. Disaster show for the Haas as they ride on board with Jack, who is trying to stay in the slipstream of Young. Young is pulling straight to the right and is not allowing the Aston Martin to get anywhere close. Down the inside there goes the Aston and nearly spins in turn one. Now Gordon to the outside will say thank you very much, I'll capitalise off your error. And Gordon up to P4, reclaims where he started, and Jack with another error there, which loses him another position, and now he's under pressure from the Ferrari of Aro, who's going to be hot on the heels of that Aston Martin. But Jack's really not going to be doing his tyres any good with all these half spins. And after looking at Young for P3, he found himself losing a position to Gordon, so we'll see how these four carry on. Cookie's still unable to get by Nice for the lead of the race. Well, I think he's just happy to manage his tyres at the moment and stick behind the RB. Young not able to make any impressions. On the top two as there goes for a spin. It's a championship leader. Cookie spins round on his own accord at turn 6. And just like Star, he's going to tumble down the order all by himself. Cookie with an uncharacteristic error there at turn 10. A disaster show for the Red Bull. And he's tumbled all the way down to P9. Cookie Boss has had an absolute howler. The top two in the championship, both having spins. And now Start up to P13 isn't actually too far behind him now. So, what a curveball. Cookie Boss, who looked hot on the heels of Nice and looking to win another race, he's now got his own comeback drive to make, and he's already starting it. Down the inside of line he goes, and back up to P8. And a crazy error by Cookie Boss. And he's going to have to regain 7 positions and catch back up to Nice if he wants to reclaim where he was. But now that leaves Nice in the box seat, 4 seconds clear of the nearest car. Nobody pressuring him, so Nice, he's going to be counting his lucky stars here because he's got no pressure whatsoever. And he can just manage his tyres, go at whatever pace he wants, because Young is unable to catch behind. This now leaves this whole train. And Cookie Boss, he's eager to get back up to this train. 2 seconds off of Kenzie, which will get him back in the DRS train for P2. Young, though, still dragging this whole train along. And I said keep an eye on Echo, because he is now coming into this fight in the McLaren on the hard tyres. And his tyres, I think, will be better than the mediums at this point. So he's starting to come into this. And keep an eye on the McLaren. Aro, though, looking keen behind Jack. Maybe Jack burn out his tyres a little in the early stage and coming out of the final corner. Young really determined to break that slipstream down the main straight. And here we go into turn 1. I don't think Aro's close enough. Echo not too far behind either. And Kenzie's just waiting in the wings behind. Cookie is trying to catch back up and recover from that spin, but he's not got the DRS yet. Craig, though, gets back ahead of Dino. We saw the Alpine get ahead early on, but now Craig's hards are coming back into this, and the McLaren has got back up into P10, although he's gone deep, and now Dino will take back P10. So that's going to halt his progress a bit, and a mistake there on the hard tyres. Maybe they're not still quite fired up as we thought they were. But Dino takes back the position into the top 10. And Cookie is coming for the train in front, 1.3 behind. That gap's going to keep coming down in this middle sector. But we run with Young, who has gained a bit on Nice, but not enough to make any major inroads. He's just trying to catch back up to the RB. So Gordon hasn't been able to really make an attack on Young yet. We'll see if anybody wants to pit early, if they are going to do a 2-stop, but I think they're just trying to make these mediums go as long as possible. 4.1 is the gap to the leaders. Young again pulls to the inside, does not want them to get the slipstream. But Gordon, though, is gaining. He's going to go down the inside, that has. Gordon, down the inside, takes P2. He started P4, went down to P5, and now Gordon, with some mega pace, has gotten back up into P2. And Young loses that lead of the train for the first time. This will be his first time experiencing dirty air in this race. And Gordon now, a man on a mission. We'll see if he can make any inroads on Nice in front. But Gordon's got a lot of pace in that Haas. And now it's time for him to unleash it. Crucially, Aro in P5 gets a track limits penalty. So 3-second penalty for first of the leaders to pick up a penalty. So that's going to send him down the order a little. To P8 as it stands. Crucially, Cookie has caught back up to this train. So he's now in the fight with Kenzie. And we'll see if he can make any moves or whether he just wants to sit back and manage his tyres for now. But Echo looking eager on those hard tyres. He seems very quick. The McLaren. Aro getting that penalty in front. Maybe a bit slower and probable. And made our way through the hairpin. Echo incredibly close to the Ferrari. And Gordon actually nearly broke DRS to Young there. So Gordon, again, showing how much pace he's got. Heading down the straight. Echo very close to the back of Aro. Is he going to be close for ascend into turn 1? I think he's just going to stay behind for now. Yes, he is. So Echo playing it safe. He knows his hards are going to come into this later. But crucially, Young is falling away from Gordon. And Gordon is actually catching Nice a little bit. So he's broken the DRS to Young behind, and now Gordon may start to set his sights on in front. 3.8 is the gap. And we'll see if he can catch up before the pit stops, or maybe trigger an undercut if he feels like it. So keep an eye on this Haas, because he's got a lot of pace, and with Cookie Boss tumbling out the order, it's getting very interesting. We said to keep an eye on Star's progress. He's up to P12, looking eager behind the back of Mallard. And the two cars in front of him are on hard tyres. But he maybe will have seen Cookie Boss spinning, and they have thought, oh, well, at least I'm not losing as many points as I would have. Gordon lost a bit of time on this lap. Nice opening back up the gap to 4.3 seconds. Everybody's still staying out, so they're happy with these medium tyres at the moment. And is Young going to be a bit vulnerable here down the straight? He hasn't got DRS. Jack does. And ERS slipstream and DRS. Is he going to be close enough for a move? No, he isn't. Has a little shape to the inside. But that Ferrari proving to be very wide around Hungary. Into turn 2, still unable to get by. And Young is doing very good at defending at the moment. And the Aston just cannot find a way by. He's not got much battery to play with, but neither does Young. Aro himself is under pressure from the McLaren. Both Ferraris are having to handle huge amounts of pressure here. They're soaking it up pretty well. Kenzie is just about sticking with them, but he's got Cookie Boss all over him. And Young now definitively has fallen away from Gordon, so Jack is going to be all over the back of that Ferrari. And Young seems to have killed his tyres a little bit, swimming around a little. Jack had those mistakes early on, but he still seems to have a bit of life in those mediums. And riding on board with the Aston Martin, trying to get as good of an exit as possible. Heading around the last corner, dirty air for the days. Getting on traction. Cookie Boss has pitted early, but heading down the main straight, Jack looks to take P3 on the road. All the way to the inside goes Young. Jack is forced to the outside. Into turn 1 we go. Jack looks for the switch back. Young goes deep. And now with the DRS again towards turn 2, is he going to be close enough to shape for a move to the inside? She has a little fake, but unable to get by, although a slide there from Young. Jack has one too, but it's costing him time. He's still unable to get through. So Young defending very well here. Is Jack going to have a look to the inside? Don't want to do that. We saw how that ended up with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton early on, as there's Aro under pressure there from Echo, trying to go down the inside of turn 5. Very risky, and he just has to stay behind. But Cookie Boss into the pits, so he's called the bluff early, and he's probably definitely on a 2-stop. You'd really question whether he can get those hards to the end. So Cookie Boss on a 2-stop and was tired of the DRS train that was forming, so he's really got to push now to try and undercut these guys. Gordon, though, caught a second on that last lap. So Gordon maybe unleashing that medium pace that he was saving early on. And there again is Echo having a look at Aro, and he's pushed into the grass. Kenzie says thank you, I'll take P6, and a bit of barging going on there. Meanwhile, the other Aston Martin, he tries to put pressure on the Ferrari. Kenzie versus Young, round 2, and to the outside goes Jack. Does he look for a switch back again? No, he's going round the outside of turn 1. Young will squeeze him out wide, but Jack with the DRS and the ERS is still unable to get better drive coming out of turn 1, and Young is still ahead. Echo, crucially, couldn't get back by Kenzie and is still stuck behind. I think there's been an incident at turn 1 as yellow flags. I think Craig may have tumbled down a bit. As Star, just at fast lap of the race on fresh medium, so Star also, along with Cookie, pitted early, and he's showing what pace that he's got. But again, Nice is falling back a little. Gordon has got a lot of pace in that Haas. He is catching the RB at a rate of knots, and maybe Nice has got to start to think about pitting, because he's going to really come under pressure soon from that Haas. And he doesn't want to be vulnerable to an undercut. Meanwhile, Echo looking very quick to the inside of Kenzie. He goes down the inside. Kenzie leaves in the room, hangs it out on the outside. Contact made, wheel hook in there. Echo still round the outside of turn 13. Nice is in the pit lane, and more contact made. Echo again is forced wide and has to get back on the track just as Kenzie comes into the pit lane. Nice, though, in the pits. So he realised that Gordon was catching him and he didn't want to get undercutted by the Haas. We'll see where he comes out in relation to Cookie, who pitted a few laps ago. Heading down the straight, I think Cookie is actually going to be ahead here. Into turn 1 we go, and Cookie, that undercut has worked wonders because he is now ahead of the race leader. So Nice has really lost out there, and he's trying to get ahead of Godzilla very quickly. Down the inside he goes, and he does get the move, but he can see Cookie Boss in front, and he's going to be wondering how he's ahead of him after he just spun a few laps ago. So Nice has got a work cut out for him. He's got to catch back up to Cookie Boss, as Star gets a time penalty, so that's crucial for his race. But Gordon will see what he does now. Does he respond and pit immediately? Or does he think, no, I've got a bit more life left in these tyres and I can still push on with decent pace? We'll see what happens. Young, though, still ahead of these four. Kenzie was one of the ones who pitted earlier. So you would expect, would undercut all these guys. Echo on those hard tyres is going to be quicker than all of them. Gordon responds and decides to pit, and everyone is in the pits now. Jack and Young pit. I think Ara was going to come in the pit, and there's spinning. Spinning there is Young. What has happened on the pit entry there? He's beached. He's beached and he's been disqualified. Disaster for Young there. Trying to come into the pit lane. He must have spun. And that is a disaster for Ferrari. Meanwhile, coming out the pit lane now is Gordon. He's going to be behind Godzilla. He's ahead of Star, crucially. But calamity there on the pit entry for Young. And he has been disqualified for getting beached on the curb. That's F125 for you. As up the inside goes Gordon on Godzilla. He's now got to try and get back up to Nice. And Nice is now looking hot on the heels of Cookie in front. Cookie is your net race leader. And Nice can see him in front. Meanwhile, Echo on his hard tyres still unable to use his pace. He's stuck behind Aro. Aro, you would expect, would pit this lap. But the sole Ferrari left in this race. So around the hairpin we go, and into the final corner, Aro does decide to pit, so that now unleashes Echo into some free air, and he can use those hard tyres to whatever he feels like. Meanwhile, Nice is gaining on Cookie, and it's going to be a fight between them two again. Fastest lap of the race goes to the RB, and he's going to be all over back of Cookie this lap. Gordon, though, clears F1 Mallard, and he is also in the fight for this race, so he's got 5.5 seconds to chase down on Nice in front. See what he can do. Start in P6. He's made a very good undercut, I will say. Well, that penalty is just going to shove him down the order a little, unfortunately. Kenzie is the leader of those behind, and his teammate lets him through. So Kenzie lets Jack through. So Jack, with fresher tyres, seems to have a bit more pace at the moment. Meanwhile, Echo, we said he was allowed to unleash his pace, but he's actually been caught already by Cookie Boss, and now Nice will say this is a very good chance to get past Cookie Boss. And it's still stuck behind, but this could be a three-way fight for the lead as we head on to lap 17. And Cookie getting held up by Echo here. All of this is allowing Gordon to catch up. But coming in the pit lane now is Echo. So that is now perfect for Nice, because now he's got a great shot at getting ahead of Cookie Boss. Cookie Boss doesn't want that. And heading down the straight, here comes Nice, gaining and gaining on the Red Bull. Is he going to be close enough for a move? No, he isn't, and just has to stay behind. But all of this, the longer Nice is stuck behind Cookie Boss, Gordon will be catching rapidly. And will be back in the fight for the win. F1 Mallard sticking it out on those hard tyres. Unable to make an impression on pace. He's been passed by Star. And meanwhile behind, Dino is defending from the two Astons, who've got a lot more grip than him. But still he wants to defend, and heading up there, here we go. Dino doesn't want to let him by. Despite the tyre range difference, Dino, who pitted early, is sticking ahead of the Astons. He has to look down the inside, unable to get by, but this is holding them up massively. And the Astons really need to clear the Alpine for their race. F1 Lime gets a penalty in the process, down in P11. This is costing them a lot of time, and I tell you, it is costing as well. Nice is stuck behind Cookie, and Gordon continues to catch. So Nice is really going to have to clear the Red Bull this time around, otherwise Gordon will just continue to catch. Around the final corner we go. Will he be close enough to make a move? Cookie does not want to relinquish this lead. And Nice isn't burning his battery. He seems happy to stay behind at the moment. So even though he's got more pace, he's just happy to let him drag him along. Gordon will see if he can make any inroads from that 4.2 seconds. Star running his own race, and still it's time for part 2. Dino's been passed by one Aston. Is he going to be passed by another? Jack on the inside of the Alpine, but the Alpine gets better traction out of turn 1. And can Kenzie have a look to the outside of turn 2, right on the outside. Very lovely stuff from the Aston. And now with the inside of turn 3, Kenzie will move up into P7. Very lovely move there from the Astons, who are now unleashed ahead of the Alpine. I say unleashed, they've now caught Mallard, who is also very slow. So the Astons just encountering traffic everywhere they go. And on the exit, Jack nearly getting on the curb and is still stuck behind Mallard. So very difficult stuff from the Astons. This is dropping them out of contention from victory today. And Aro is gaining on them behind, along with Echo, who is pitted off those hard tyres for fresh medium. So he's going to be incredibly quick in the McLaren. Gordon didn't make any inroads that time, still at 4 seconds. Nice heading down the main straight. Does he want to try and shape for a move into turn 1? Gaining on the Red Bull, just stays behind. He's happy to be dragged along by Cookie Boss at the minute. Star pitting very early, I must say. He's only had 7 laps on those mediums, yet he's deciding to pit now. So Star with interesting strategy. 3 wide we go, though. Down the main straight, the 2 Astons make contact on the inside of Mallard. And Kenzie on the inside of his teammate. Jack squirms on the exit and just lets his teammate back through. But that could have been very feisty between the Aston Martins had there been more severe contact. Aro's now at the inside of Mallard and gets the position. Echo will now try and follow him through and heading up the hill. Echo just with that much traction to get ahead. So these 4, they got separated a little after the pit stops. But Jack, Kenzie, Aro and Echo all back together. And the 2 Astons will now try and have to defend their life against these 2. Especially Echo, who's going to be very rapid on those mediums. And look at him, he's practically pushing Aro through this middle sector. That's a big slide, though, for the McLaren. And he just will back off a little. So it's a 3-way fight for the victory at the moment. A 4-way fight for P4. And does Nice want to try and get by this time around? Burning his battery. But Cookie Boss does not want to relinquish the lead. He's had a spin. And he's tried to turn it into a win. He's won the first 3 rounds of this race, and huge slide there for Nice out of turn 1. Maybe a bit of dirty air coming into play there, but Nice doesn't want to be burning out his tyres that much. F1 Mallard finally pits, and that means every car in this race has now stopped. Whether they can make it to the end on these tyres is the question, but considering Echo pitted on lap 17, you get the feeling they will have to pit again. Jack still leads his teammates ahead of Aro and Echo behind, though. 20 laps in, 15 to go. We're expecting pit stops from the rest. And Nice still putting pressure on Cookie Boss. He seems a lot closer this lap. Is this the lap that he wants to try and shape for a move? Gordon is slightly catching, still not enough to make any major inroads. But heading around the final corner, does Nice want to shape for a move this time around? Echo crucially gets a penalty, so track limit penalties coming left, right and centre. And this time, Nice seems a bit closer, heading down into turn 1, burning a bit more battery, still just has to stay behind the Red Bull. And it's a fine line between how much does he want to try and get by, but does he want to just sit behind, because getting by will ruin his tyres a little more. So he's trying to find the right balance as F1 Lime gets ahead of Dino, who is pitting for the 2nd time in this race. So he will try and get to the end on another set of hard tyres, you'd imagine. Meanwhile, Jack has dropped his teammate behind. That has now left Kenzie vulnerable to Aro and Echo behind. Although they do have penalties, so that's the advantage that Aston Martin have got at the moment. Gordon's kind of in a world of his own at the minute. He's not really catching the top two, but Jack isn't really catching him behind. So unless Gordon can start to catch the leaders, he may just be on for a dead set P3. The battle, though, is for P5 at the moment. Aro putting pressure on Kenzie. And he'll have to build a bit of a gap if he gets past Kenzie because of his penalty that he's got at the moment. Well, you can see how much more pace of Ferrari has got in him. Stuck behind the Aston as it stands, but onto lap 23, maybe shaking for a move. Echo in hot pursuit as well, to capitalise on any errors. And around the final corner we go. Aro will be all over the back of Kenzie, heading down the straight, ERS, DRS and slipstream. Kenzie is not going to give this up easily, and heading down to turn 1. Aro gaining. Is he going to be close enough for a move? No, he is not. I think Kenzie may be running a little lower wings because he seems to have a decent straight line speed there compared to Aro. As there is Star right on the outside of Craig up into P9. So he's carrying on with his comeback. He's got to try and get those hards to the end of the race. But he has pitted crucially, and he is the leader of those who have pitted twice. We just await for the rest to pit, and crucially, Cookie has actually dropped Nice. He has built a gap outside of 1 second, and Nice no longer with the DRS advantage. So Cookie may be harnessing a bit of pace here, and he's now starting to pull a gap back, which is very impressive considering he's got 2 lap older tyres. We'll see if this is a chance for Gordon to try and catch back up to the leaders as well. But the race just stagnating a little in this mid-portion. We'll look back to Kenzie and Aro though. Aro will look to get back by Kenzie again, because he's losing time behind the Aston Martin. And heading down the straight, Kenzie just seems to have a lot more straight line speed than the Ferrari, and he's still unable to really gain on the straight. Star though is absolutely rapid. He's up to P8 now. We get the gap to the leader. He is 27 seconds off the lead, so once everybody pits, he will be P4. So Star, that would be a quite impressive recovery, considering he was last on lap 1. Andre becomes the second man out of the race. Young, obviously, after getting disqualified from that very strange pit lane incident. But Star really on a good comeback. Craig becomes another victim of track limits, and he gets 3 seconds. We just get penalties up. It is 3 seconds from 6th down to 10th. So Kenzie's under pressure from Aro, but he knows he's going to finish ahead of him either way. And it really is between the top 3. Behind that, though, it's anybody's game. And Star's really got some mega pace on these fresh hards. He's catching the leader Cookie over a second a lap. So Star, it's really a shame he got spun at the start, because he's really showing what pace he could have showed if he was near the front of the field. So Star will continue on. He's still going to get some good points today. He's on track for that. But sadly for him, I think he's still going to be outscored by his championship rival, Cookie Boss. So there are 11 laps to go in this race. But still Kenzie dragging along Aro. Jack in really a world of his own here. He's got his teammate behind defending, and he's not really gaining that much on the leader, so Jack is very lonely at the moment. He's, I think, on his way to a very lonely P4. Nice still stuck behind Cookie Boss. He's got back within the DRS, but you get the feeling Nice won't be happy with being tucked behind for too long. Through turn 1, it is still Nice behind. Gordon, again, still unable to make major inroads, and that massive slide out of turn 1 is not going to help his troubles. Just about keeps it in a straight line. We look back to Aro, who's gaining on Kenzie, but again, still unable to get close enough. Meanwhile, who is close enough? Star to the inside of Echo. Echo's mediums have really dropped off, and Star's hards are flourishing. Star up to P7. He's only 24 seconds off the lead. He's catching 1.5 seconds a lap on the leaders. So Star is absolutely flying, and if he keeps up this pace for just a little longer, he may just come out in the lead of a race when the leaders pit, or maybe that's a question of if the leaders pit. Because can they get their tyres to the end? Cookie Boss would have had to do 23 laps, which is quite the amount. And is that him in the pits? Yes, it is. So commentator's curse there. Cookie Boss doesn't think he can get to the end and is into the pit lane. Oh, he's got a 10-second time penalty. Cookie Boss with the second major error of the day. He span earlier on, and now Cookie Boss, he was back in the fight for the win, but a 10-second penalty is surely going to take him out of contention. A disaster for the Red Bull. And Cookie Boss, just when you thought he was on for a 4th win in a row, the script has now been torn apart, and Cookie Boss is now going to have to deal with a 10-second time penalty. So Nice now back to being the favourite for the race winner. And Gordon really now the only one left to challenge him, 5 seconds behind. We'll see if he can start to make any inroads, but Nice again in the box seat in this race. It's just about whether he decides to go to the end or whether he wants to pit again. If he does want to pit again, I recommend he pits now so he can cover off Cookie Boss. He doesn't want to lose too much time to the Red Bull. But Cookie Boss is going to be a man on a mission after that penalty. He's already nearly in the DRS of Jack in front. Just 1 second behind the Aston Martin. Jack's not got bad pace, but Nice is pitting. So Nice into the pits. He doesn't think he can make it to the end. Gordon is staying out. Whether he can make it to the end, he will have done overall 20 laps, which isn't too much on those hard tyres. So Gordon, his only chance at winning this race may just be to try and get to the end. Meanwhile, there is Jack getting passed by Cookie Boss. Jack may be trying to get to the end as well. Nice is coming out the pit lane. Crucially, he's ahead of this little squabble. Star, Aro, and Kenzie. Well, Star can definitely get to the end, so he's genuinely just caught these two on pure pace. So Star is absolutely flying at the moment. And now he's going to start to pressure Aro and Kenzie in front. If he gets past these two, you never know, he could start to catch up to the leaders. Gordon, though, we'll see what he does this lap, because I think this will be the lap which decides whether he is doing a 1-stop or a 2-stop. If Gordon stays out here, then this is game on for the race victory. It's just about how much life has he got left in those tyres. And he is staying out. So Gordon is trying to get to the end of a race, it seems. And now the chase will commence. Nice, 13 seconds behind, has got some ground to make up on the Haas car. So Cookie Boss, fastest lap of the race, although it may matter depending on the podium positions. He has got a 10-second penalty. He'll probably end up winning this race on track. But if he wants to build another 10 seconds, then that's going to be quite the feat. The gap you need to keep an eye on is Nice versus Gordon. 12.4, that will keep coming down. And crucially, Star has passed Aro to get up into P6. And he will only be P6 even after he passes Kenzie, because he has got a 3-second penalty, as Jack gets a penalty as well. It's not really going to change anything because he's not really near anyone he's battling. Nice caught him now, but Nice on far pressure tyres is surely going to get by very quickly. Gordon will just double check he is committing to this 1-stop. Is he going to come into the pit lane? No, he isn't. He's staying out. So Gordon is trying to get to the end of a race. Nice has got ahead of Jack. So now this is Nice. He has got 7 laps remaining to try and catch up to the Haas. 11.5. That gap is coming down, but he's going to have to catch at about 2 seconds a lap if he wants a chance at winning this race. So it's game on. Nice versus Gordon. And Cookie Boss will see, I think he'll salvage the podium. Jack, though, is hitting. Jack, he's on the same age tyres as Gordon. He doesn't think he can make to the end. So he's got to be careful, Gordon, that he can get punctured later on. Star still putting the pressure on Kenzie in front. Unable to get by. Jack comes out in P8. He's going to be very quick on the medium tyres. But that gap is coming down very quickly between Nice and Gordon. This could be, he could catch him within maybe the last few laps. This is really going to be game on for the race victory. Cookie is going to catch him very soon. But that 10-second penalty surely is not going to be quick enough to build a 10-second gap. And Cookie, he's had a spin today. He's had a 10-second penalty and he's still on for a podium. So that just shows you the pace that Cookie Boss got today. Nice last lap caught by 2 seconds. So Gordon's got to ramp up the pace if he wants to win this race. Because Nice is catching at the pace that he needs to be. He hasn't got much battery. He has burnt a lot of it. But 8.8. Keep an eye on that gap. Meanwhile, here comes Star for P4, gaining on Kenzie Young. Still, Kenzie absolutely rapid in a straight. He must have a lot lower wings there because Star just unable to catch up to Kenzie. Jack is up to P7. Expect him to catch up to these 4 soon. But Cookie Boss now just 1.4 behind Gordon in front. And he will take the lead of this race on track. And this would have been an easy win for him. Without that 10-second penalty, Cookie would be winning this race comfortably with a fourth win in a row. As Godzilla becomes a 3rd retirement. But Cookie is going to be absolutely kicking himself that he hasn't won this race. Obviously anything can happen. He could still build a gap. But you get the feeling Nice and Gordon are going to end up finishing ahead. I'm not sure if Gordon will fight this too hard. No, you've got a penalty, and there's another penalty for Cookie Boss. So his day gets worse. He's going to be on the podium, but he's going to have 13 seconds of penalties. Nice again caught by 2.5 seconds that lap. So Nice is on track to catch him in time. As there is Cookie getting ahead of Gordon. Gordon just doesn't fight that too much. He knows his races with Nice behind. But the gap now, 5.6 seconds. And Nice is gaining. With just 4.5 laps to go, it is game on. The gap continues to shrink. 5 seconds it is now. As the race goes on, maybe Nice starts to catch a little less. Oh, and that is a huge snap on the exit of turn 9. How on earth has Nice saved that? That is incredible car control from the RB. But that is a mistake that will have cost him a little bit of time. 4 seconds is now the gap. And he's got 4 laps remaining. So he should catch him with 2 laps to go, which gives Gordon 2 laps to defend for his life. As F1 Lime got a penalty in all that as well. Jack is catching Aro at a rate of knots. Is Star going to be close enough to shape for a move on Kenzie, heading down the straight? DRS, and Slipstream, and he's just not close enough down the inside. He has a look, but still just unable to shape for a move on the Aston Martin. Kenzie's low wings is really helping him out here. Kicks out, they just cannot get close enough. The gap now already down to 3 seconds. Nice is catching nearly a second a sector And this one stop was worth the gamble from Gordon. But unless he can put up a masterful defensive drive, Nice may just be on to win this race and break Cookie Boss's winning streak. So he caught 2 seconds that lap. It was 4 seconds at the end of the last lap, and now it is 2. So Nice should be within the DRS by the end of this lap, which gives Gordon 2 laps to defend for his life if he wants this race victory. Obviously, they can't battle too much because they don't want to let Cookie Boss get 10 seconds clear, but I think they'll be fine. But this is a battle for the race win, which is turning out to be a lot closer than I think Nice would have wanted. But Gordon's rolled the dice. This was the only way he was going to challenge for a win today. And he's got to be clever here. Meanwhile, Jack has already caught this train and he's up into P6. So he'll be battling Star for position. Kenzie, though, he will not be for position. He's got 3-second time penalty, so Jack will try and have to build a 3-second gap on him, though. But Nice has caught up to Gordon. And what does Gordon do here? He's got a lot more battery than Nice, to be fair. So he can play a lot more games. Nice, though, yeah, he's really not got much battery. So Gordon, I think he's played this tactically. He just charged all his battery up. And Nice hasn't been able to charge it up. So this is Gordon's only defence down the straight. And he's going to need to get the best exit possible out the final corner. Nice, though, is right with him, heading down the straight. And Gordon is shoving him to the inside. But I think he's defenceless. Gordon has to relinquish the lead on the penultimate lap. Nice has retaken the lead of this race. And is just 5.6 behind Cookie, which will be enough. So Gordon gave it his best shot, but his pace just has not been enough. And he just has not been able to stay ahead of Nice, who's just had too much pace for him today. Meanwhile, 3 wide, we go into turn 1. It's Star on the inside of Kenzie. Kenzie shoving his teammate wide. And somehow Star comes out in the lead of all that. Kenzie's back down the inside of him. Jack's looking around the outside of his teammate. And this battle has sprung into life, and Kenzie lets his teammate go. Kenzie knows that he's going to get ahead of this battle either way after penalties. But that all of a sudden came into life. Jack and Star had been stuck behind Kenzie for a huge amount of time. But he finally got a run. But Jack was right there with him. And crucially, this is a battle for position. They both have 3-second penalties. And this will be for position onto the final lap. Something to keep an eye on as well is if Cookie can build a 10-second gap on Gordon. The gap is 7.5, so he's going to need a mighty last lap. But we are on to the last lap, and this battle for P4 will move on to the last lap. It's really about P5 because Kenzie will take P5 after the penalties. And there's a DRS game going on there. Contact made round the last corner. And as we go onto the main straight, it's Jack who got the DRS. Star trying to break the toe, but here comes Jack gaining. Going to the outside. Oh, contact made. That was a very late move by Star there into turn 1. Jack turns in, contact made again. And Star tumbles down to P5. Very controversial instance there. It's like George Russell and Charles Leclerc from today. But Jack does move up into P4, which will turn into P5 at the line. But Aston still on for a very good result here, and Star will only get P6 after all this. It's still a very good recovery, but he's going to lose out on a lot of points to Cookie Boss at the front. Speaking of Cookie Boss, though, he will be crossing the line in first, but a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane and a spin is going to ask him. He's going to be asking himself how he didn't win today. He'll cross the line in first, but Nice, ever since that Cookie Boss spin, has looked unmatched today. And round the final corner, Nice up to the line will win the Hungarian Grand Prix to break the Cookie Boss winning streak. Gordon, with a very impressive P2, does get P2 in the end, ahead of Cookie Boss, and Jack will come through in P4. Actually, he's managed to build a gap on Kenzie. So Kenzie is going to lose out on P4 here to his teammate Jack. Jack will cross the line in P4. Star will have to settle for P6 after Kenzie overtakes him on penalties. Aro will come across the line in P7, Lime P8, and then the two McLarens in P9 and 10 round out the top 10. But Cookie Boss, we finally have a new winner in WHF. And we have fun. Nice had a lot of fun today. Cookie Boss's winning streak is finally broken, and we have a different winner in Tier 1. Gordon will be gutted he misses out on the race victory today, but he gave it a good go, rolled the dice, and him and Kenzie and Aro and Lime were the. Actually, there were a few who did a one stop, but Gordon was the one who executed it the best, and I think P2 was just the max result for him today, no matter what he did. And the two soft runners of Mallard and Oven Chip crossed the line in 14th and 15th. But battles everywhere you look down the field there. And the Hungarian Grand Prix came to a crescendo at the end, where it was Nice taking the victory, and what could have been for Cookie a spin and a 10-second penalty. And even after that, he still gets a podium, but he's really going to be asking himself how he didn't win that race. Two major errors cost him the victory today. And we may be getting some post-race interviews, if I can invite the right drivers. But those are your results. If you get one last look at them, penalties all down the field. Cookie Boss gets past a slap, if that's any consolation. But finally, a new winner. Cookie Boss is defeated finally, but still extends his championship lead, crucially. We may be getting the top three in a VC, so we can see. I do want to hear from Cookie Boss, because those errors must have been really detrimental.
Oh God. Your strategy, I'm not gonna lie.
That news is speaking.
It's Echo.
Echo, yeah, right. Yeah, very, very strange race for you. I mean, strategy seems to be a bit of a difficult factor in that race. Tyre wear obviously very high. I mean, how was your race today? Do you think?
Well, I had a really good quali. Didn't expect me to have a good quali since into the start of the season I didn't have the best of qualifying finishes. But this race was one of the best qualities I've ever had coming into the season. But with the strategy that I had, I realistically should have started on the mediums. I lost a lot of time to the front park the first couple of laps on the hards. But I still gained some positions back, finished P9. So yeah, it was a solid result.
Yeah, obviously your teammate there in P10 as well, so not a bad points haul for McLaren. Just a shame that you couldn't challenge those at the front. But I'm sure a lot of learning lessons with tyre wear and that today, because obviously track limits was a big factor as well. So do you think there's anything you could have improved on that race?
No.
Well, unlucky. And still, P9 is not a bad result, and we'll see you next week, I'm sure. Back to your best. So thank you for racing today, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, see you next week.
Yeah. I don't know who was next in. Was it Oven Chips next? Or whoever's.
You can just start with the save.
Oh, Nisev, you there?
I am here.
Yeah, how do you think that race went? I mean, pretty in the thick of it seemed for you there. How do you make of it?
Um, it was a good race. I had some down pace in the middle of the race, so I'm glad I could pick it up again. And I saw saw Cookie speed, so I thought, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna box as well. So got lucky with him speeding and getting a 3 second penalty.
Yeah, I mean, were you a bit worried by the half staying out at the end? Did you think, oh no, maybe he's pulled a bit of a blinder with a one stop there, or were you pretty covered with it and you thought you could catch him by the end?
I saw the pace difference, and new hards are always going to be second a lap faster, and that lap task didn't help it. So I got kind of stressed when I was stuck behind him.
Yeah, well, that's been a brilliant race for you today. You've finally broken the cookie winning run, and you're the first different race winner this season, so you must feel very happy with that.
Yeah, always good to win on your debut. So
Yeah,
I'll
debut as
take
well.
it.
Wow, well, that's very impressive then. But yeah, great drives from you and the podium positions. Any final thoughts on the first different race winner? Well,
No,
humble in victory, it seems. But well, yeah, great job today, and hope to see you next week. I'm trying to make it back-to-back victories, but yeah, great job today, and we'll see you next time.
I'll try my best.
Okay, cheers. Bye. Haro, do you want an interview or line?
Yeah,
Whatever
sure.
next.
I was in a party with Cookie, so I can give you the rundown. He said whenever he was entering the pit lane, he got a screen freeze, and that's what gave him the 10 second.
No.
So that couldn't be more dejecting for Cookie. But uh, I always like seeing new winners in the league. So great to see Nasev win. Uh, as for my own race, I thought it was going pretty well, and then I got stuck behind the absolute boat of Kenzie Young, and then couldn't go forward.
Yeah.
I even when I dumped all the battery, I wasn't. I honestly was in my head. I was like, I'm gonna go for a diabolical send, but I was like, I'm not even close enough to go for a diabolical send. Like, if any send I would have tried would have been just straight up murder. So I couldn't even conceivably go for a ridiculous send. He was running too low wings, and then Star came through, hit me, get through, and then I only really wanted a one stop, but seeing the pace that Jack had on his two stop, maybe that would have been better because I'm pretty sure I was with Jack at a point in the race, and if I'd have known I was going to get stuck behind the boat of Kenzie Young, then maybe it would have been better if I came through on the fresher tires if I did a two stop. But oh well.
Yeah, well, we caught that a lot on stream. Are you getting stuck behind Kenzie? He really just had very low wings, but that helps him. Really was able to stay ahead, and also you're running very well in the early stages, and you kind of just propelled that through to the end. But what could have been for Ferrari because your teammate had a very strange incident in the pit
I
lane.
think I think Jack may have hit him entering the pit lane. I don't even know if he hit him, but all I seen is them both enter the pit lane, and then I seen him down just backwards, and then he got disqualified because he was facing backwards, or maybe blocking the pit lane, but he wasn't even in
Well,
the pit lane whenever I seen him, so I think it must have been just because he was facing backwards.
yeah, it showed that he spun. I didn't know whether that was by himself or whether Jack hit him, but then he got beached on the really high curve on the inside, couldn't move, and then that disqualified him from the session. So yeah, very unfortunate stuff.
Yeah, normally we don't allow people to reset the track. Normally it's a big pain, but if there's situations where we can tell, like on your clip, that you're stuck, it's normally best just to reset the track. But sometimes if you're stuck in the wrong spot, it can disqualify you very quickly.
Yeah, but a shame for Ferrari, but still a decent point score for you. I think you're pretty happy with P7. Shame about the track limits as well, but yeah, any takeaways from today?
Um, Not really. I would have felt better if I'd have beaten Starjack or Kenzie, but then there's no one really else because the person who is behind me is a tier 2 driver, so I wasn't really worried about them. I was more just worried about the car's head, so I kind of just did the best I could, really, but that was a disappointing race.
Oh, well, still not a bad point. So it's just a shame what could have been more for Ferrari. But well, thank you first of all for giving me the chance to commentate, and thank you for racing.
Yeah, thank you.
Always. Lime, were you next in? You there?
Hello, I'm
Are
here.
you
Yeah.
there? A decent little result there in P8. You seem to have a bit of a quiet race, really. I think a lot of the time you were just kind of running your own race, nobody really around you. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm never normally here. I'm normally focusing on tier 2 because I'm winning in there and doing whatever in there. But I just decided for once if I'm going to race in tier 1. And reasonably did actually well. I wanted to challenge Arrow, but then Echo came out, just blocked me, and I was like, oh well, that's my chances to get Arrow gone. Because I was catching him a little bit, and then Echo just came out. I was like, oh, for God's sake! But oh well, I'll take a P8, much better than other races I've had in Tier 1. So
Yeah, I mean, this is like you've kind of one of your first races in transitioning to tier one. I think you've done very well there. Obviously, track limits proving to be difficult, but was tyre wear all right on your side of things? It seemed to be a big problem for everybody else, but you seem to just kind
I
of
mean,
be chill in P8.
I mean, I'll reiterate what Arrow said. Two stop may have been better because watching people like, especially Echo, even though he pitted earlier than Jack and whatever, still had a lot of pace on the mediums. So maybe mediums with a two stop could have been better, but at the same time, I'm not really sure because I was kind of running my own race, so I wasn't had many people around me. So at the same time, it didn't really affect me too much. And I don't even know what happened to Echo at the end. He was like 10th behind me and then just died. So I don't know if he just gave me the place or he was low on fuel. I don't know. So
Well, either way, I think it's safe to say you're pretty happy with a P8 there. You've done quite well. I don't know whether we'll see you in tier one again next week or back to winning in tier two. But either way, thank you for racing tonight and good luck for tier two or tier one next week.
thank you, thank you.
No worries. Was next? Was it Jimmy was next? Himmy? Or whatever you pronounce your name.
Himmy, yeah.
Himmy. Yeah, are you there, Himmy? Yeah. Remind me what position you finished again.
I think we know where I finished.
Oh, wait, are you
He was in the Ferrari, yeah.
oh dear, right. Well, I'll make this short and sweet. What happened there?
I don't know. Game being the game. They didn't even go full force on the pedal. Like the lightest of touches, and you know, car just keeps going straight. Nothing I can do.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's so unlucky that the curb's so high on the inside there as well, because that just fully beached you. Until then, it was a brilliant drive. You had your own little train going, just you were fending off everyone behind. So yeah, it's really what could have been there, because I think you were on for a podium, really.
Yeah, if only.
Yeah, it's really, really unfortunate, but hold your head high because you had a lot of really good pace out there today, and hopefully you can transition that to next week because a stupid game bug like that shouldn't deteriorate from your drive today. So yeah, don't be too downheart. And is that everyone?
Just oven chips left.
Oven chips, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I mean, I would like to talk about your race, but from what I saw, it seemed pretty disastrous. Is that true to say?
Yeah, not one of my greatest races. I didn't have the greatest of qualifying, but my race pace seems to be a lot better than my qualifying. So I thought I can maybe bring it back. And I was sitting behind Kevin Cowell for the first few laps, and then I almost went into the back of him, but it was still close enough for me to make a dive bomb and just got up on the curb and came off the curb and just tapped his front wheel a wee bit. It was all my fault. and it just, for some reason, it just spun me all the way around. It was the slowest spin ever. And I don't understand how I spun all the way around going that speed, but I lost all my time, and my tires were just shot after that. So I just pitted on hards, trying to catch everyone, and then obviously over pushing and hit the wall, and I had to come in and replace my wing, and just kept going. And then after that, I went, I'm not really in this race, so I'm just gonna, instead of just retiring, I thought, I'm just gonna experiment, see where the pace is and see where the pace isn't.
Yeah, well, a very difficult race. The only positive I think you can take is that thankfully your teammate finished up there in P2, so a very good drive from him. But bit of a disaster for you today, but we all have them races. And at least you got some free air running to find out how things works. But still unlucky today. Still a good points haul for Haas, fortunately for you. And yeah, any other takeaways?
Just kind of wish I got some points on the board, because my teammate finishing second was just, that would have been great if I got some points as well for the constructor.
I think
Where
you
did you
did.
finish?
I think you did get a point. Well,
15th, I
oh yeah,
think.
you got two
That's 2
points.
points. Oh, that's not too bad then.
Okay, well, yeah, at least there's all positives and some bad things. So yeah, thank you for racing today. Obviously not the way you wanted it, but we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Right, and I think that is everybody. So thank you all for watching this round 4 of Tier 1 WHF. It has been a brilliant race with strategy and overtakes galore, but we will see you next week for whatever track it is. I forgot what track it was.
Austria.
Austria, which is surely going to brew up a storm, as because we all know what races around Austria like in league racing. But thank you all for watching today, and we will see you next week in WHF. Goodbye.